Hello everyone, this is Dr. Said Abrar. I hope you are fine and healthy. Many families among us have undergone miseries due to the outbreak of COVID 19, due to which we have lost many beloved and dearest ones. Looking all this stressful environment, the university administrators have taken up decision to conduct the online mode of education to all the students. With these circumstances, I will conduct my class in the form of videos via Microsoft PowerPoint. So dear students, I am directed to take up the first chapter, that is Bryophytes of second semester BSc Botany syllabus of Kuvempu University. From today till nearby future, I will upload videos on various topics of Bryophytes. I wanted you to learn this subject more than the syllabus. I can assure that understanding more will definitely improvise you the knowledge of science, and it develops you the passion of research and teaching. Who knows, a scientist or a teacher may be hiding within you. With this background, let me introduce you to the miniature of the plants, that is Bryophytes, an overview with many topics. Each topic in this video is a special branch or a separate branch or separate specialization in the research of Bryophytes. So let me introduce you with some background of these Bryophytes. So plant societies are made up of almost exclusively of vascular plants, but Bryophytes form their own societies within vascular plant societies. And these plant societies of miniature plant societies are referred as a world on its own. In 20th and 21st century, Bryophytes occupy a position of separate division of plant kingdom. In 16th century, a German philosopher Joachim Jung considered mosses to be unborn offsprings or aborted plants. In 17th century, before the development of first efficient microscopes, most scientists regarded Bryophytes as tiny flowering plants. The picture you can see is the picture of the Antony van Leeuwenhoek, who discovered the very first microscopes, is a picture on the right side. In 1851, Wilhelm Hofmeister took special interest on Bryophytes and documented its life cycle. So Bryophytes can differ from vascular plants not only in morphology but also in three views. The first is the absorption and conduction of water and nutrients. Second, resistance to dryness, heat and cold. The third is poikilohydry. Poikilohydry is a term which is used for organisms which can tolerate or which can desiccate for water content. How can I define poikilohydry? Means poikilohydry is a term which is used for organisms which can tolerate the low water content in cell or a tissue, and later on they can rehydrate themselves when water is available for them without any physiological damage. So mosses grow vigorously only in tundra and on bogland. Tundra, as you all know, tundra is the coldest region. So bogland is a kind of wetland. They form an important part of physiognomy of this formation. Physiognomy is nothing but the visible appearances or physical appearances. And these physical appearances you can see on the right side picture. You can see the whole of the bogland is covered by the mosses. So how can I best introduce you to the Bryophytes? So Bryophytes are the non-vascular land plants. So these are referred as the second largest group of land plants after the flowering plants, and they are only haploid land plants. And these Bryophytes, they are positioned or they are grouped intermediately between the algae and pteridophytes. The famously referred term, that is amphibians of plant kingdom, is only referred to the Bryophytes because they require water for fertilization. The term bryophyte was coined by a German scientist called Robert Brown in 1864. The word bryophyta is derived from Greek bryon meaning tree moss and phyton meaning plants. The study of bryophytes is called as bryology. There are many bryologists who work on the research of bryophytes, and there are more than thousands of books which have been published on bryophytes. So Johann Hedwig is considered as the father of bryology. Shivram Kashyap is the father of Indian bryology. You can see the pictures. From the left is Johann Hedwig and the right is Shivram Kashyap. So you can see two pictures. The left is the smallest bryophyte called Zooxis, and the right one, the picture designates with you the tallest bryophyte, and the species is called as Dawsonia. Nomenclature, that is naming. So naming a species. The type concept of naming bryophyte came from the first described taxon named Bryum. Bryum was the first taxon which has been described under bryophytes, and Bryum is again derived from the Greek term, that is bryon, meaning moss. The term Bryum was used by the famous Greek physician botanist Pedanius Dioscorides, who lived in 40 to 90 AD, and he wrote the book called De Materia Medica. So De Materia Medica is considered as the pharmacopoeia of medicinal plants. It is very much famous book. He referred Bryum to an unknown cryptogamic plant. How the bryophytes have been originated? So bryophytes are small, they are inconspicuous plants that have been existed for several hundreds of million years ago. Inconspicuous referred to the unattractive, but there is another meaning which means that they are barely seen by our naked eyes. So inconspicuous, I will just refer to the barely seen to the naked eyes. They are really an attractive species. They are assumed as monophyletic and polyphyletic. Monophyletic means the organism which has been originated from common ancestor group. Polyphyletic means the organism originated from more than one common ancestor group. So they are assumed to be both monophyletic and polyphyletic and do not exist as natural group similar to algae. So because of their resistance to degradation, fossil spores have provided valuable clues to the initial stages of land colonization of bryophytes. So evolution. So Bryophyta is a group of the simplest land plants which are considered to have evolved from algae, particularly Charophyta. Bryophytes also provide critical clues about land plant evolution. Sometimes bryophytes are represented as evolutionary failures. Why? Because they are thought to be originated from the vascular plants such as rhinophytes, and then as the group continued to evolve, these bryophytes lost their vascular tissues. Today these views have been changed. So molecular data suggests that the principal bryophyte groups had separate origins, although the details of their divergence has still remained unresolved. Fossil study. So based on evidence, bryophytes evolved far earlier than the fossil record we have. It is possible that the paleobotanist may not recognize the earliest bryophytes because morphologically they do not resemble the modern forms. Paraphunaria sinensis is one of the oldest bryophyte report of megafossils from early Middle Cambrian era about 500 million years ago. The earliest confirmed spore is from the liverwort of Middle Ordovician era about 475 million years ago. Reichardothalus devonicus is the oldest bryophyte fossil from early Devonian era about 395 million years ago. In 1900, Frey suggested that most of the liverworts, that is leafy liverworts, and some mosses may have been evolved in southern Gondwana and migrated to Laurasia during the Cretaceous and Cenozoic geological time. That is, the map you are seeing here is about 200 million years ago. Classification. In 1789, Antony Lawrence de Jussieu placed algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, gymnosperms and monocots and an order Aequotledons in his book called Genera Plantarum. In 1813, Augustine Paramus de Candolle placed algae, fungi, mosses and ferns under one order in his book called Flora Francis. In 1845, John Lindley placed algae, fungi, lichens, mosses and ferns under order Thalogens in his book called The Vegetable Kingdom, The Structure, Classification and Uses of Plants. In 1864, Robert Brown coined the term Bryophyta included algae, fungi, lichens and mosses in the group called Bryophyta. In 1879, Andreas Franz Wilhelm Schimper gave the status of division for Bryophyta. In 1883, August W. Eichler divided the division Bryophyte in two groups, Hepatiaceae and Mussae, under a subdivision Bryophyta, and this Bryophyta have been kept in a division called Embryophyta, and he published the same thing in the book called Syllabus der Warcelungen über Spezial and Medizinische Formatische Botanik. In 1892, Heinrich Gustav Adolf Engler. So what the classification is based on is Englerian plantar system of classification. He is the one person. So Adolf Engler divided the subdivision Bryophyta into two classes, Hepatiaceae and Mussae, and further divided each of the class into the three orders in his book called De Naturlichen Pflanzen Familien. In 1899, Marshall Avery Hu classified a new class Anthocerotes with single order Anthocerotales and single family Anthocerotaceae. Earlier, Anthocerotales was placed under Hepatiaceae by previous botanist. In 1905, Douglas Houghton Campbell also supported the Hu by dividing the Bryophyta in three classes, Hepatiaceae, Mussae and Anthocerotes, in the book called The Structure and Development of Mosses and Ferns. In 1957, Johannes Max Proskauer suggested to change the names of classes Hepatiaceae to Hepaticopsida, Mussae to Bryopsida and Anthocerotes to Anthocerotopsida according to the laws of botanical nomenclature. So this is a classification what we refer in the syllabus. So recent advances in DNA sequencing and technology and phylogenetic reconstruction, including the use of ultrastructure, morphology and anatomy, the Bryophyte consists of three major clades or divisions. So clades is a term which is used in molecular phylogeny or molecular classification. So according to this, there are three clades. The first is Markensiophyta, which is commonly referred as liverworts or hepatics. It consists of 9,000 species. Second is Anthoceratophyta. It is commonly referred as hornworts. It consists of 150 species. The third is Bryophyta, commonly referred as mosses. It consists of 12,000 species. So how much diverse is Bryophytes? So Bryophytes consist of about 22,000 species. So traditionally, the species number was indicated in textbooks with 25,000 species, which seems to be a count of all species mentioned in the Bryophyte volume of Engler and Prantl, De Naturlichen Pflanzen Familien. So recent worldwide monographs have distinctly reduced the number of species. Monograph is a book in which we will publish, or many scientists will publish, the various organisms, taxonomy, morphology and so on. It's a documentation book of various organisms. For example, we have monographs of Bryophytes, monographs of algae, monographs of fungi and so on. So there are various monographs on Bryophytes. So here the monographs have distinctly reduced the number of species. Why? Because the reason is the many species have pantropical ranges and have been described repeatedly from different parts of tropics under different names. So that's why the number has been reduced. So pantropical means the distribution of the species in worldwide tropical regions. In 19th century, the religious convictions of some authors did not allow the idea that a species of Bryophytes occur on different continents, because they assumed that each Bryophyte are independently created by God. So that's why the number have been increased earlier and reduced now. So distribution of Bryophytes. So Bryophytes are widely distributed throughout the world. So in evergreen forest, in semi-evergreen forest, in moist deciduous forest, dry deciduous forest, in grasslands, in thorny forest, in beech forest, in mangrove vegetation, in swamp forest, in alpine forest. And these Bryophytes are also widely distributed in India, in northern Himalaya, southern Himalaya, western Himalaya. So western Himalaya is referred as gold mines of liverworts because of two reasons. One thing is there are so many species of liverworts in western Himalaya, And second thing is, there are about more than 300 endemic species of liverbirds in Western Himalaya. Endemic means a species will be available only in Western Himalaya and it is not available elsewhere in the world. So, bryophytes are also found in Cherrapunji forest, Thar desert, Western Ghats, Nilgiris. So, how the bryophytes disperse themselves? So, this is a picture showing a micro animal. I will tell you regarding this in the later. So, the capsule develops a well-defined mouth through which the spores escape. The spores must first get out of the capsule. Capsule is nothing but the apical part of the sporophyte where the spores are produced. If the capsule lacks such a mouth, it may split lengthwise or break open irregularly. Further, the dispersal is by light breeze, strong winds, storms, water, animals, humans, and by their own modifications. So, the dispersal may take up by light breeze, strong winds may cause fragmentation, storms may break and blow away bryophyte, streamside erosion will break up bryophyte colonies, roe deer. There are many animals which are involved in dispersal. For example, roe deer carry bryophyte fragments. Potaru, while digging up for truffles, they will break down the fragments. Wombat can push spores. Possums, while fighting on a tree branch, they also disperse the bryophytes. Running red kangaroo can cause fragmentation of bryophytes. Spectacled flying fox swallow fragments while grooming. So, Physidens fontanus is a bryophyte which is found on Anodonta siginia. So, this is a mussel. Leptodictyon riparum found on mollusks. Liverbirds have been found on Papuan weevils. Schistostega pinnata will be sticked on mines. Bryophytes disperse also by humans. So, zoologists are interested in specific group of animals which live on bryophytes or in the bryophytes or under the bryophytes. So, some of the insects are these. So, which they live on the bryophytes and they cause the dispersal of the spores. So, the scientists classified them as two types, Bryophyllus and Bryoxenus. Bryophyllus are those animals which spend their entire life in bryophytes. Bryoxenus are those animals that stay for only part of their life cycle. So, this is the micro animal which I was talking about earlier. So, this is called as tardigrade. So, tardigrade are micro animals which live in water, and you can see this tardigrade. So, it is just moving on the moss or a bryophyte. So, the tardigrade measures about only 1 mm. So, these tardigrades are called as water bears, or they are also called as micro piglets. So, there are some modifications in bryophytes for a dispersal. For example, the capsule disintegrates and the spores either tumble out of the broken capsule or may be washed away. So, the entire capsule functions as dispersal agent in some bryophytes. The capsule contains much air which can easily float on water and can disintegrate to release spores. So, this is an enlarged sporophyte. Some thallus functions as dispersal agent. So, capsule are embedded in the thallus. The best example is Riccia. When matured, the capsule and thallus disintegrate, leaving the spores exposed with a cup-like depression. The developing capsule is surrounded by a black pouch and form a protective covering around the capsule. You can see the black colored structures are a black pouch. So, during maturity of capsule, the pouch opens to release spores. The capsule splits along dehiscence lines by two ways. The first one, the mature capsule opens out in a number of arms to give a star-like appearance. You can see the first picture is a sporophyte which is sealed. The second picture you can see it is the opened sporophyte. You can see the star-like appearance at the apices or at the tip. The third photo is the enlarged portion of a sporophyte, and the three pictures on the right side you can see the enlarged picture of the tip of the sporophyte, and you can see the star-shaped appearance. The second is the splitting stops in between the capsule and arms are joined at the tips. Through the slit-like gaps, spores are released. So the mature capsule begins to dry and shrinks. See, this is another modification. The spores and operculum shots off simultaneously like a shotgun. So you can see the A, B, C are the sporophyte, which is circular one. So D, E, F is the picture showing the shrinkage of the capsule. Let me show you the video. So you can see the shrinking of the sporophyte, and just see at the tip it just shots off. Yes, so the spores are shots off like a shotgun mechanism. Habitat. So they are present, the bryophytes are present in damp shaded areas with high humidity and rainfall. So they are found in various habitats, from dry deserts to a wet rainforest, from cold Arctics to hot deserts, from sea level to alpine vegetation. And in bryophytes we have so many ecological groups. First is Terricolous, the bryophytes growing on soil. Second is the bryophytes growing nearby water. Corticolous, bryophytes growing on bark. Saxicolous, bryophytes growing on rock. Lignicolous, bryophytes growing on logs. Folicolous or Epiphyllous, the bryophytes growing on leaves. Endomycorrhizae, the bryophytes having the mutual relationship with the fungi, that is called as mutualistic. Next is the habit, the appearance of the bryophytes. So bryophytes are not found as a single individual but in groups of individuals. Each individual has a particular growth form. So various scientists term growth forms with terminologies such as the plant community, moss society. The plant body is thallus. That is, thallus means the plant body is not differentiated into true roots, true leaves and true stem. And here stem are like central axis, leaf are like appendages and roots are like rhizoids. So it does not have any vascular tissue, but conducting tissues like hydroids and leptoids are present in bryophytes. So plant cells are in direct contact with surface water or the atmosphere, and water and nutrient uptake occurs throughout the plant surface. So rhizoids primarily function to anchor the plants rather for the nutrient and water uptake. So these bryophytes, they lack lignin for the support and do not have any tracheids. So bryophytes, as I have said, they only have one set of chromosomes. They are haploids. The gametophyte lacks the stomata, whereas the sporophyte consists of stomata that govern gas exchange. Bryophytes store water up to 20 times their weight within specialized cells or externally in capillary spaces on the thallus. So as I have mentioned, there are life forms. There are different life forms in bryophytes. There are about 10. The first are annuals. Seconds are short turfs or short grass-like. Long turf or tall turfs. They are tall grass-likes. Cushion-like. Mat-like. Weft-like. Weft-like means while weaving a bamboo carpet, as you can see the threads, like the same thing you can see in wefts forms. Pendants, tails, fan-shaped, and the last is dendroid. Dendroids means the tree-like structure. Next, which are the factors which are responsible for the development or the growth of the bryophytes? So direct and indirect light, heat radiation, availability of water and nutrients, direct rainfall, through fall from leaves, stem flow, mist, dave, groundwater, and physical and chemical characters of the substrate. So poikilohydric. So as I said to you earlier, the definition. So these bryophytes cannot control water loss. The environment dries out, bryophytes also desiccate. When moisture is available, they rehydrate. Then reproduction. The 2/3 of mosses are dioecious, or bryophytes are dioecious. Dioecious means the plant, that is the male and female plants are separate. These bryophytes reproduce 3 types in 3 ways: vegetative, asexual and sexual. They reproduce by vegetative method via gemmae or by gemmaes. Brood bodies, you can in the left diagram you can see small tiny leaf-like structures. Those are the brood bodies. Tubers, And sexual reproduction takes place via asexual reproduction takes place via fragmentation from appendages or from axils and from rhizoids. Whereas the sexual reproduction involves release and navigation of motile male gametes into the environment and later into the female sex organ via an external water source. A fertilization of female egg is only possible if male plants are close in contact with the female plants. The spermatozoids can swim only over a short distance, and raindrops with spermatozoids can hardly reach more than 1 meter. So this is an antheridium which produces the male reproductive structures called as sperms. So you can see here the vibrating structures are nothing but the sperms. So if a male spore fails to fertilize than to cover the time for sexual reproduction, the bryophytes reproduces asexually. A part of the bryophytes produce spores. So many species are only known in sterile condition. So the need for asexual reproduction has led to an enormous variety of different structures among bryophytes. If at all they can't withstand the sexual reproduction, they undergo the asexual reproduction, and by asexual reproduction, the varieties of the bryophytes are produced, and there will be many varied structures in bryophytes, which leads to the many species. Sporophyte. So sporophyte, as you can see, there is a sporophyte which is releasing spores. The sporophyte of bryophyte is simple unbranched structure consisting of spore forming organ called a sporangium or a capsule. So you can see the diagram on the right side, there is a differentiation of the sporophyte. So as you know, the bryophytes are miniature plants. That is, they are very much small. They are barely seen on the land or any of the substratum, but it produces the beautiful structures called as sporophytes. We may think that sporophytes are only one type or 10 types. No, there are various types of sporophytes. Let me show you some of these. So these are the sporophytes with different shapes. So you can see beautiful sporophytes. You can't imagine how the shapes will be. So these sporophytes are referred as ephemeral and they are called as monosporangiate. Okay, so monosporangiate means the only one type of sporangium will be present on a bryophyte. So they are referred as matotrophic, meaning the sporophyte is dependent on gametophyte for nutrition and protection. So the sporophyte is divided into nutritive foot, elongated seta and single terminal capsule. So this is the capsule. It is just opening as you see in the video. So capsule is a spore producing structure of the sporophyte. So capsules are elaborate and in some instances exhibit complicated mechanism for spore production and dispersal. So there are many complexities in the bryophytes. That is, pseudoelaters are present in hornwarts, elaters are present in liverworts, and peristome teats are present in the mosses. So you can see the first diagram. So this is the sporophyte which is enlarged in a microscope. The second diagram below that is again enlarged. The right diagram, it is enlarged about 1380 magnification. So you can see the peristome teeth which are curved and the coiled structures are referred as the elaters. The elaters are present and there are numerous spores in it. So spores, you can see the picture, you can see the dispersal of spores and the bryophytes. So bryophytes spores are produced in capsules and spores are thus ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means they are present all over and released in between about 4 to 5 million per capsule. So 1 million equals 10 lakhs, about 40 to 50 lakh spores are produced per capsule. The smaller spores can easily be lifted by warm air and distributed globally. The larger spores can be transported over large distances by strong winds or attached to animals. The overall presence of spores is one of the reasons for use of bryophytes as indicators to climate change. The spores can keep their vitality for more than 100 years. Just imagine, they can sustain for 100 years. The alternation of generation. So bryophytes are unusual in having generations. They alternate between a long haploid gametophyte phase and relatively short diploid sporophytic phase. So in bryophytes, The haploid gametophyte phase serves as a primary stage for photosynthesis and growth, whereas the diploid sporophyte, which is nutritionally dependent on gametophyte, performs reproduction and dispersal functions. So next is the conservation. So conservation of every species on this earth is very much important, because as you assume, so as you know the fact that the humans are the super species on this earth, so they have to conserve all the species on this earth, and each and every organism has an authority to develop and generate their next generation in the life cycle. I will not go into the deep regarding the conservation, but I just want to tell you that the conservation is the very most important criteria to sustain bryophytes. Okay, so how the conservation can't be handled? Why? Because the only factor is about the human tendencies. The humans actually, they are destroying the forest. If at all they are destroying the forest, the climate will change. If the climate will change, certainly this will happen. You can see the burning of the trees. You are just seeing a clump of trees which is burning. When you see in the aerial view, you can see the forest is also burning. If at all these trees can't withstand the so much heat of the flames, so just think about the bryophytes. They will be dead almost. Well, so as I can say that the bryophytes are very much important. So I have covered so many topics. I have just given a glimpse of the topics, and each glimpse or each topic will leads to the different branches of the bryophytes. Well, in the next classes, I will deal with a complete topic or regarding a topic. For example, in the next class I will deal with the characters of the bryophytes or general characters of the bryophytes, and so on. I will take each of the topic in each video. Till then, stay healthy and stay fine. Thank you so much.